Okay, welcome back to the Albany tournament. Bring you guys round 18 of 23 today, against, like I said before, the eventual winner of the tournament, Max Panitch. This was an extremely pivotal game. After 17 rounds, I was 11 and 6, and Max was 12 and 5, having just lost his fifth game to Sid. So, had I won this game, we would be tied in the standings. Um, and had I lost this game, I'd be 2 games behind Max. So yeah, very important game for me, and for Max. Open with Zurich. Um, yeah, the only way to score really well here. Um, and Max quickly plays Ripeners for 86 with a blank S. So huge start for him. I had this rack, and I could play something like Vogue, but Viva looks a bit better in this spot because it doesn't take away any of the bingo lanes like Fog does. Fog doesn't do that either. But I played Viva here because it keeps the left part of the board open so that I could maybe get a bingo, especially that I'm opening the E file for a bingo for a 7-letter word. Um, so I decided that that was better than playing Viva here, which mostly blocks things, blocks the C, blocks the E, the R, the S. Um, so I think this was the right choice. I could also play Vavs, but again, that blocks rather than opens. Like it partially blocks this R and this S. Although later on moves can be played through the V to fork the board. So yeah, lots of close plays here, and I opted for this one. Um, I'm going a bit faster here because I've already looked at this game. I have the file on my laptop, but I wanted to show you guys anyway. Mac. I keep saying Mac. Max played Entity. I mean, Max was playing like Mac. He was really killing it this tournament. Um, Here I had this rack, and I made my first small mistake of the game. Um, I played Dopa for 28 instead of Pop for 23. I decided to take the extra points, but ADEGR is a pretty good leave, despite it having a G in it. It just bingos too much next turn for me to take 5 more points. So it's slightly better to play Pop rather than Dopa. Um, because I want to bingo here. I'm down decent amount. I could come back without a bingo after Dopa, but it's kind of hard, especially if Max plays his cards right. So he played QI. Hold on a second. I think he just played, yeah, QIS here. Says he played QI. I already looked at this game. I'm sure that's what he did. I have this rack. I found the best play of chirping. Um, it was pretty easy to see plays here. But yeah, just looking a little bit longer to find the 57-point play was pretty pivotal here. Um, then Max plays Ian, and in this position, I drew pretty poorly. I drew 2 U's, 2 E's, OCS, and Max just took an 18-point lead, but he opens such a huge spot. So most of the time after this play, after the play of Ian, I'll actually be doing better than Max in terms of winning chances because he's given me such a huge spot. However, with the rack I actually had absolutely no way, no good way other than ace or case, which is just horrible, leaving EOUU to take the spot. Um, and so I started like freaking out a bit. Like, why is this happening? Like, why can't I take advantage of this spot? What do I do? Like, do I do EAU to block it? It's such a huge spot, and this bingo is probably the most of the options that I can play on the board. So do I have to play EAU for 4? I mean, later in the game we could see a triple triple through EAU. There are a bunch of words that end in EAU, like aboito, aboito. even 7-letter words, and we could see a triple triple later on. And I might be favored to try and go for those. I don't know Max too well to be somebody who fishes for triple triples um, in his play, so it's possible that playing EAU will also benefit me in that way, but it's also like 4 points. Like, is this really the best play? So I decided it wasn't, and I could just play YOU, partially block the spot. I mean, I'm giving back this triple here, but it's a lot less of a big deal than the triple through the A. But it was just like, it felt so wrong that I would have to play EAU, but the problem with that logic is that it's just the best play. I mean, the X is gone, so there's no huge risk of like an EAUX play, and it just blocks the spot. The scoring defense doesn't lie. It's just such a good play defensively. Even though I'm down by 18, preventing Max from scoring big on this triple is really of utmost importance. And so yeah, as a result, I mean, I played U because I just like didn't think it wasn't even logically. It just seemed so irrational that I'd have to make this play at this score and this point in the game. But it's just the best play, and so that was another mistake, probably the more important of the mistakes that I've made this game. And luckily Max didn't have anything to hurt me, but he actually had a bingo. So he played Thenages. I could have just left the spot alone, it turns out. And I drew into a bingo of Euclases, and now, I mean, Max is still ahead. Um, but he doesn't have much. He plays a Wii right here for 22. And another draw just like comes with two more U's, and now I'm just like, what the hell is happening? Like, how am I supposed to win this game? So I started getting like really frustrated, and when I get frustrated, I don't see clearly. I get tilted, and the decisions I make are not so good. I tried to maintain my composure, and I played Fub, and I saw this play of Pubes. Pubes being a sticky S word. It's not good without the S. Maybe one day it will be. Um, and I thought for sure that like keeping my E and playing Fub was a better play, but it turns out no. I have some draws to fewer, and I'm actually just um, I'm doing pretty well here, keeping my F so that I can score, maybe on this spot. It just turns out that Pubes is the better play. I actually still don't really understand it. Um, but it turns out, I mean, that the reason I should have played Pewys is not necessarily because it was the best play, but it is. But you'll see what happens after Fub. I really thought Fub was just the right call. I guess the problem is when Max like makes any play on the 13 and 12 row, what do? I have UEIN, and I have nothing to do. I can't score on these triples, and yeah, I'm just not bingoing. So I was hoping Max would play elsewhere and I'd be able to bingo with EINU. But yeah, Pubes is better. Just keep the game a bit more under control. Obviously, I'm doing really poorly here. My leave is just so much worse than the average letters that anyone would have with this unseen pool. So it's really not good, but Pubes is the best option here. So that's a third mistake, and this one was crushing because Max drew into Zowie for 58, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so horrible. Why is this happening to me? I'm supposed to win this game. But yeah, I was making mistakes. So here I draw into an M and a D. A DOM is a good draw, and I'm able to play Duomi for 35. Keep the game somewhat within reach. I do need to bingo at this point pretty much to win. Max plays Dwelt, very good play, doesn't really open too much. This D isn't a big concern. If I bingo to it, Max will be able to score back and probably be ahead after all is said and done. So it's very hard for me to bingo on this board. And here I might have made another mistake. I played Jute, which does really well in a simulation compared to other options, but it's probably a bit better to play Jeton even though it keeps the IU horrible combination, because that actually creates a bingo lane to this E or through it. But I really do want a bingo on the C column. I basically need the blank here to come back, and it's possible that playing jeton, it makes more sense at least. It creates a bingo lane. I can still bingo after jute. I can bingo to this A if I draw the blank. I could bingo down here. Very unlikely, but still possible. So I wasn't too concerned, overly concerned with creating a bingo lane, even though I wanted to. I was more concerned with getting rid of my fourth U of the game. Um, but it's possible that playing jeton was a bit better. So I played jute. Um, and Max played fro, and he's just scoring brilliantly. But I draw into this rack, and the first thing I see is that I drew the extension of Vox, of Sonovox. And I'm like, okay, this could be a way back into the game. I can bingo through this S, through this O to this A still, maybe underneath as well. Um, but I also saw that there was 16 in the bag. So playing a bingo now and leaving 2 in the bag was probably my best chance. So if I could find said bingo, that would probably provide me with the best winning chances. So I found it. Rosenol, a very lucky fit underneath dwelt, making these overlaps. Not a likely scenario that a bingo would fit down here. But I play Rosenol, and now I'm up by 9. So for the first time in the game, I'm ahead. And yeah, Max responds with Doc for 41. I was very concerned with like a 5 or 6 tile play, which would potentially leave Max with like outplays. But he plays Doc, and I counted it up. And I'm like, oh my god, 41. That's a lot of points. I'm down 32 now, and I started to go into a deep end game think. I guess not deep enough. If I forget my rack, yeah, I just put an extra A there. And I start calculating, and I'm like, okay, he has, sorry, I didn't have this L, I had a T. I start calculating, so his rack is EGILMO, and I start looking for his plays, which you should do in an endgame before looking for your own plays, because your best play pretty much depends on your opponent's options. So I saw that he had Glime here, GLIME, and that was a lot of points. So Glime here is 35 points. I'm already down 32. That puts Mac up 67 if he plays it right now, which means I need to score 67 points or 66 points in my endgame to outrun the play of Glime if I'm not playing in this position. If I'm not playing in this spot. So I started looking for things in this spot, and I started realizing little by little that Max's options are too good. He has enough of a score pretty much anywhere on the board. He could play something like Omega to this A even if I play something over here to block Glime, and I will not be able to outrun him. So I started looking at options, and my time was just ticking, and I ended up pretty much realizing that it was over. I couldn't win. But I needed to try something to try and win. Just like last game against Max, where I made that sneaky setup in the pre-end game. So I decided I'd block Glime and try and draw into something, or try and play something huge next turn. So I noticed this play of Lot. And what I noticed is if I play Lot and Max plays Flog, I go out and win by 1 with this play of Saraband, which is a really slick fit through this A and this D. But I realized that Max would probably play Film instead. Why would he play Flog? Why doesn't he just play Film and score 3 extra points? And that would just win the game. And that's if he misses Saraband. So that was my try. There was really no better try here, I think. If I play Fabs, maybe if he doesn't play in this spot, I can go out with Rant and win. Rant and Vivat. But yeah, this was my try, and I knew it was just not good enough. And especially since I missed one of Max's plays, his best play of Glioma. I also noticed that this gave back Gimlet, which was too good. I just hoped again that like Max would miss everything, but it's too good. He found Glioma, which just happens to block Saraband, um, which he doesn't even need to check. Like if he had needed to, he would have found that I had Saraband, but Glioma was good enough. Um, I play Fabs, and Max goes out with he for 9 and wins the game 472 to 419. So again, a really difficult game against Max. When you're playing someone that good, it's important to not make any small mistakes. Dopo was a small mistake. U was a small mistake. Fub was a small mistake. Jeton may have been a mistake, but that one worked out for me. So yeah, very tough game. But congrats again to Max on going 2-0 in this tournament against me. And it was going to be really hard to catch him after this game since he was 2 games ahead with only 5 games to go in a 23-game tournament. So yeah, hope to see you guys next episode. I think I'll be bringing you around 19 or maybe around 20. We'll see. Yeah. Goodbye.